So let me show you an example of hell on earth. This is from Fox. And this is an embarrassment around the world. Believe me, this is a global embarrassment to the United States of America. Our enemies must be just relaxing and just waiting on that one opportunity to destroy us. Really. Because in our country, they have put the right people in position to destroy America. That is these liberal women, radical liberal black women, and weak black men and weak white men. And if you ever wanted to destroy, put the blacks in control, and evil knows that. That's why over the years it's been working on the blacks to push them to the forefront of evil and use this false idea of racism so that they can destroy a country, and possible a world, but definitely a country. I never imagined that one day, there's so many things that the blacks have done I never imagined, like with Michael Brown the third that died in wherever he died, and Trayvon Martin, all the thugs that were killed, so-called killed, and the blacks celebrated it as a good, as though they were celebrating people who are noble. And it's just gotten worse. They're literally celebrating George Floyd, an unemployed drug addict, at the White House in the United States of America. This is from Fox. A State Department memo which was issued to all U.S. embassies around the world directed them to fly Black Lives Matter flags in commemoration of the 1-year anniversary since George Floyd's death. An unemployed black thug, drug addict, and they are celebrating it around the world, calling good evil and evil good. May God have mercy upon America. So they want to take down the Confederate flag and put up an evil flag, a flag that represents evil, and call it good. Amazing. Oh, black people are afraid of the Confederate flag. If you're not, that flag look like one of those Hamas flags. Allah Akbar. Don't they fly black flags? Yeah, that look like one of them. But they put those things up at embassies around the world. A State Department memo suggested that. Did you ever imagine seeing that in America? The world is no longer afraid of America. When Donald Trump was there, believe me, they were afraid. Not anymore. Not anymore. And not only did they put up this radical, evil, so-called flag, it's just mind-blowing. These black people have gone around our country destroying monuments and statues and flags, and then come back and represent darkness, evil. Replace it with evil. Black people will continue to be cursed from generation to generation to generation until somebody stop it. Really. It's not going to improve their lives at all. They will only get worse. The problem is a spiritual problem. It's not a physical problem. And somebody needs to love black people enough to tell them the truth. If they don't like it, let those that don't like it suffer. There are few that will hear it and turn away from evil. You should love them enough, white Americans, to tell them the truth. Catering to them is only setting them up for more destruction, because in their ego-fallen state, Satan has convinced them that they are right and that you're wrong. The Daily Mail is reporting that the Floyd family was invited to the White House where they discussed future police reform. A thug family going to tell you about police reform. Look at that, a thug family. They raised a no-good male who turned out to be an unemployed drug addict. And it's all about the money, by the way. It's not that they love George Floyd. These people are invading our White House. It almost makes you want to boo-hoo. You have thugs and criminals and children of the lie invading our White House. It was bad enough when Obama was there. It's even worse now. Obama opened up the floodgates of hell. And look what's happening. They invited a drug addict family to the White House to discuss future police reform. These people hate the police. You all should be shaking in your boots, white folks, and America at large, because crime is already everywhere. And unless this is stopped, it's going to get worse. You have to be crazy, blind, and crippled not to see this. Crazy, blind, and crippled, all three, not to see what's happening through black people in our country, because the rest are afraid of them. Just think about that. They are celebrating an unemployed drug addict. They're allowing you to put up flags of a radical far-left group of angry, fat, black lesbians who admitted being Marxists. And they are representing that as good in America. They are lying on America around the world, giving a false notion that America is a racist, white supremacist society. And it's just not true. There should be thousands of people marching in the streets today demanding that this government go. May God have mercy upon the white children, generation after generation. Your kids will suffer. You have nowhere to hide them now, because the blacks have been encouraged to go into the suburbs. Anywhere white people dwell, go and destroy them, because the whites are not going to do anything about it. They love their lives, their careers, their reputation more than they love what's right. And their children will continue to suffer, because not all, but most black people are evil. They have no love, zero love. And I have to admit that white people don't have it either, because if whites had love, they would tell blacks the truth. They would not have fear of the blacks. They will rebuke them, repudiate them, tell them the truth, and hope that they may overcome. They would not give up their country to the blacks. It was white people who founded and created the greatest country on this side of heaven. And at one time, it was a joy for anyone to be here. But these blacks are bringing a curse upon America. And the whites are too, because they're allowing it to happen. They don't have to allow it to happen. And what's going to eventually happen, the whites are going to start complaining about the blacks, just like the blacks are doing with the white, because losers always complain and blame others. I can't tell you the number of males I've known over the years who have blamed others for their failure. They didn't get down and try to do it anyway, learn the right way, work hard. If they don't make it, they blame others. They don't take responsibility. If you want to be amazing in life, meaning have an amazing life, you got, as an adult, you are responsible. You got, even though you're controlled by evil, you're responsible for confessing that and overcoming it. Confess it to God. You don't have to confess it to the world. Go and forgive and have a life. There are embassies, American embassies around the world, put up an evil flag representing America as bad. There should only be one flag, and that is the American flag. Y'all all know, everybody in the country know, and probably around the world, that black people are not leaders. They don't know how to build. They don't know how to make it right. And if you doubt me, look at all the cities in the states around the country where blacks are taking over. It's not getting better. They are destroying the police and letting out the criminal. Is that better? What the? Black on black crime out of control, and they can care less about it. They're not improving. They are attacking white people. They're destroying America. And there's nothing good about that at all. And it's not about slavery. It's not about Jim Crow. It's not about systemic racism. It's not about white supremacy. It's about evil. Anyone who has no love is of evil. And blacks are clearly demonstrating that's what they are all about. And if you go against them, they will try to destroy you. No debate. And that's what evil is supposed to do. I understand it. That's the purpose of evil, is to try and destroy good. That's what mothers do to their children. And it's not the female herself that's doing it. It's the spirit that made a home in her. Satan is the woman's daddy. And she does nothing but destroy until she overcomes that spirit, return to the Father. They're discussing police reform with a bunch of thugs. People who have no love. It's about money and ego. And white people laying down and giving up their country, their family, their children, to critical race thinking, theory, whatever that is. Just made up word. What it is, critical, angry, pushing. Just imagine, you think it's bad now, just imagine what's going to happen when these young kids who have been taught that white people are evil, and even to white children that you are evil no matter what. Simply because you're white, you're evil. And the black children who are being taught that about white children, what do you think is going to happen when they become teenagers and young adults? It's going to be nothing but evil. I would fight hard to stop this, folks, before it's too late. You got to push back with good, meaning don't get angry, but stand up, speak up, get involved with the city council meeting, the school board, and stop this crap while you yet have time. They put up an evil black flag around the country celebrating an unemployed drug addict. A man who was accused of using fake money just before the incident, I guess. And they blamed the officer rather than the thug. Amazing. This is from Forbes. Cities impacted most by racial justice protests are now struggling with a historic departure of police officers. What do you think? You expect anything else? Black people go out of control when you don't have the law of the land to contain them. And they're proving it to you. So now the cities where defunding police have happened and taken place are out of control now with crime. According to a new data released by police departments, people don't want to be cops anymore. Only drag queens, lesbians, and women who hate men. And that's it can only make it worse. I want to give you an example of that. All under the pretense of white police brutality. So you allow a radical group like Black Lives Matter, a bunch of lesbians, not even straight women, but lesbians, take over your country. And they're pretending that it's white people, right? Foster's reported a live news report from this thug. They're not saying thug, but I am. George Floyd Square. They made something called George Floyd Square. Don't tell me black people are not suffering because they're cursed. This is not love. This is not God. So a live news report from George Floyd Square in Minneapolis turned into chaos and panic as the gunshots rang out and people ran for cover. Watch this.
The governor here, Governor Walz, has signed a proclamation urging residents in Minnesota and Minneapolis to observe 9 minutes and 29 seconds of silence, representing the 9 minutes and 29 seconds that Derek Chauvin knelt on George Floyd's neck. But hold on. Go. Down. Behind the engine block. Yep.
Sounds like there may be some trouble there in Minneapolis. We're going to check in with them.
Think they're celebrating the thug's life, all right, and the other thugs are shooting. It sounds like gunshots. And white people stand there a little stupid. Oh, the poor blacks. It's slavery. It's not slavery. It's not Jim Crow. It's not systemic racism. It's not police brutality. It's not white supremacy. It's the failure of black people to take care of themselves. Failure of the parents. Failure of the men. The lack of moral character. The lack of belief in God. And the hatred of themselves and their fellow man. They do not love themselves and God and their neighbor as themselves. They don't have no love. And instead of trying to appease these people, y'all need to love them enough to tell them the truth. If they reject it, that's fine. One or two will hear it, and their lives will change. Straight is the road, narrow is the path, and only a few are going to take it. Most people will go by the wayside, and there's nothing you can do about it. They have to suffer and die. And I noticed that with these white reporters, they know better, but they're so weak that whenever they report on George Floyd, they make sure they make the point. Well, what an awful loss! It's a horrible loss. I feel so bad. Weak. What's a horrible loss about an unemployed drug addict? How was he benefiting anyone? He or she benefiting anyone? But these white reporters, conservatives and liberals, They have to throw that in so they can seem appear to be going to cater to the blacks or going along with it or fake love or something. I expect it from the world, though. The world is evil. Demons are everywhere. But God will set you apart from the world if you forgive your mothers and return to your fathers, your mothers and grandmothers. Then you will have no fear. He will cause you to have no fear because you can't fake not having fear. It's a spirit that made a home in you. But you let go of anger, fear will disappear. And all the attachments that you have, that you're attached to, your work, your things, your family, or anything that controls you, you will overcome it. He will cause those things to become things that you live with in America. You know, you got to have money, you got to have this to live by, but it's not your identity, your culture, and all that crap. You'll be free. And you will represent good. And you would know that it's not you, but it's the love of God working through you. You're either children of Satan or children of God. You can't be both. And there is no you. Amazing. And don't forget to like, follow, tweet, subscribe, and share the Jesse Lee Peterson radio show, folks. We really appreciate it. We are at war. It is a spiritual battle for the soul of America. And it's going to take all of us to do it.